Welcome to this video on how to convert a Honda 3-speed engine to a 4-speed. These engines can be found in small motorcycles such as the Honda Super Cub series, also known as the C50, 70 and 90, Honda Passport in the United States, Honda Monkey bikes, XR50, XR70 and many others. So, the 30-second summary of what is required. This requires splitting the cases and can cost anywhere from £100 to £200, and it also depends on if you want to recondition the bottom end while you're at it. What you get is the ability to gear your bike to run lower RPM at cruising speeds, say above 35-40 miles an hour, or slightly better acceleration if you keep the stock ratios. I recommend this method over complete engine swaps because gearboxes are notorious for catastrophically failing on Chinese engines. So this way, you get a highly reliable and dependable engine, and you also get to keep the stock look, if you like that sort of thing. Quick disclaimer though, if you have around a 1992 or older scooter, this conversion will also require you to replace both case halves. Some countries don't care if your engine has a no number on it, but if it does, keep in mind this might be an issue if you want to register your bike or keep it legal if ridden on roadways. In this video, I'll be covering important points such as how does a 4-speed compare to a 3-speed in real life, the parts, skills and tools required, and finally, the various ways to get a 4-speed, including complete engine swaps. Now this video is only going to show the parts unique to the 4-speed conversion to keep it short. So, getting right into things. How does a 4-speed compare to a 3-speed in real life? Having built and ridden many of these bikes and engines before, I can confidently say that Honda's 3-speed isn't as archaic and bad as it sounds, even for modern day roads. You see, these engines have very wide power bands compared to most motorcycles, so a wide ratio 3-speed actually works quite well with this engine. Some say it's even more comfortable than the 4-speed, but whatever the case, Honda stuck with this tried and tested gearbox for over 50 years. The only reason a 4-speed comes in handy is when you're doing relatively high-speed cruising, say around 45-50 miles an hour, and want to keep the RPM down. This doesn't do much for fuel economy to be honest, but for comfort it is definitely an improvement, and personally, I like having the 4-speed over the 3-speed, but I'll be the first to admit the 3-speed is really quite pleasant in town, especially if you don't stay over 35 or 40 miles an hour on a consistent basis. Now there are many ways to convert to a 4-speed, including swapping a complete engine that already has a 4-speed gearbox installed. However, the reason I'm doing things the way I will show you in this video is because it's possible to use 100% factory Honda parts. However, if you're considering an entire engine swap, it is worth noting that there are superior engine designs that can be swapped in with little to no work. But truth be told, I really dislike using Chinese engines, not because I'm ethnocentric, I am in fact Japanese, but because the original Honda engines are not only more reliable and better built, but they also have considerably more power, pound for pound if you will. So while this style of motor, seen here, does have an inferior clutch design and isn't as smooth as the twin clutch motors, 10 times out of 10 I would take a 4-speed converted version of this engine versus a new Chinese engine. I've done both, and I promise you, the Honda wins hands down 100% of the time. It is by far the most cost-effective, reliable, and trouble-free solution to a 4-speed conversion, if this is the engine you are of course starting out with. Until recently in fact, I used this exact type of engine on my everyday scooter for over 4 years, so I would know. In terms of skill set, it is still quite fairly involved, meaning it requires splitting the cases. But with the video series I've created on disassembling and reassembling these engines, see the description below for links, I believe that anyone mechanically inclined, even with no experience on these particular engines, will be able to successfully modify and rebuild their engine. It is possible that a very small amount of machining work is required, but I'll explain that later. At worst, it's not difficult to do and can be done by hand and some sanding paper if necessary. In terms of required tools, to keep this short, I'll just say that you need all the Honda specialty tools, which includes a flywheel puller and castle nut socket. You'll also need a basic socket and spanner set, impact screwdriver, regular screwdriver, rubber mallet is nice to have as well. But to get a more thorough idea, check the detailed video to get a more complete picture. But I'm going to say, in terms of cost, if you have to buy the flywheel puller and castle nut socket, usually it doesn't run you over £20, even for a high quality tool set. In terms of the parts required, at minimum in parts it obviously requires a new or used gearbox and complete gasket set and new cases if you happen to have the older style engine. To give you a quick idea of the cost, an aftermarket high quality gearbox made in Japan was £70. The shifter hardware, £20 to £30, I can't remember exactly, and a full gasket set, £10, all Japanese parts. While you're in there, I highly recommend replacing gearbox bearings and consider having the crankshaft rebuilt if you're getting on in miles. This probably would add another £80 to £100 to the build, give or take, or if you're just doing the gearbox bearings, maybe £20. So cost-wise, if you're swapping in the gearbox and related hardware, you can get away with less than £100, or the job might cost upward or possibly over £200, depending on if you need new cases and want to do things like rebuild the crankshaft. Whatever you do though, do not substitute the gearbox with a cheap aftermarket version. This is the weakest link in most aftermarket engines of any maker. So if you want to have a reliable motorcycle, always stick with name brand or original parts, even if used. Now would also be a good time if you're considering doing a power upgrade, such as a big bore or stroker kit, or both. Piece together the stronger parts you'd want for upgrading, such as your clutch, oil pump and top end if you so desire. And of course, money-wise, the sky's the limit to how much you can spend, so be careful. Now if this seems like something you'd want to do and feel like you can, then by all means, proceed. Okay, so in front of you, you can see that we have our 4-speed gearbox laid out. If you happen to skip ahead, the reason that I am doing things this way, this is not the only method that you can undertake to get a 4-speed, but the reason I'm saying this method in particular is because this is an all OEM Honda version, or a Honda way to get a 4-speed converted engine, rather than trying to piece together things from many different bikes and possibly from cheap aftermarket makers, which will make your day go quite badly. Cheap gearboxes are by far the worst way to go, because that's the weak point in most of those engines. So I just recommend avoiding that altogether, and just if you follow this method, you can use 100% Honda parts and you will get a nice experience. I used a 4-speed converted C90 for about 4 years, and so I would know it's very reliable, and it is just as trouble-free as any of the 3 speeds that you see from Honda. So with that having been said, let's review on how to convert this way. Now, if you're going to, since this is not a kit itself, it's not like Honda sells these kits. What you have to do is you have to find the parts individually. I'm going to touch upon each of these parts individually so that you know what you need to order. And by the way, all these parts are 4-speed specific. Even if you see something and you think, I have that, it looks like that, you have to make sure it's for a 4-speed, because there are very minute differences, some of them on the order of a few millimeters in terms of their size difference. Every single part you see here, you have to have it for a 4-speed, no ifs, ands, or buts. So, the shift forks. Now you can tell this is a 4-speed set of shift forks because it has 5 pins here. And so if it has 4 pins, it is no good and will not work. You also need the star. Has to have 5 points. The 4-pointed star is for the 3-speed, of course, and your bolt. This is what the bolt looks like, in case you are wondering. Then you also need the washer that goes on the other side. Now, sometimes engines have different ways of covering up and attaching this side of the shift fork to the case. So it might vary. You might have a copper contact switch that bolts onto the outside. Whatever the case, you just need that hardware that will fasten itself to the other side of the case. You also need this. This is the shifter pole. This one is ever so slightly different than the 3-speed, as mentioned, and so it might look almost exactly the same, but you have to make sure that it actually is for a 4-speed. And so make sure to get this. Then you need this. This is the shifter arm. Now you don't need to replace the shaft that this goes on, okay? This is the foot shaft, the foot shifter. You can use the original foot shifter as long as you replace the arm, which is this entire assembly, and you don't need to replace the spring. So if you want to be ultra cheap, you can use your original spring and you just replace the arm itself. Now this arm, I believe on the order of about 2-3 millimeters smaller than narrower than the 3-speed arm, and the 3-speed arm absolutely will not work, so don't even try it. But like as mentioned, you can use your original shaft and it does fit on. In fact, if you want to see it, I will show you that it absolutely fits no problem. See, like that. And it works just fine. In fact, the engine was running and I took it apart in this state. So just want to add extra assurance to that. And also, one little thing though, this shifter arm, I've converted, I would say, 24 of these engines, so 3 speeds to 4 speeds. And these arms, they're not usually ground like this in terms of having a really smooth radius. You can see how it has been smoothed off. And the reason it's that way is because I've ground it off. And so because I've ground it, and I ground it off because I've had issue with about 2 or 3 of my engines. Now granted, I was converting it from a used gearbox, and so that might have had something to do with it. But I had to radius this tip off just a little bit. It's usually kind of pointy like this, and then I had to radius it because what it would do is when it would shift, the nose of this would hang up, and so and it would get stuck, and so it makes for really annoying riding is when you have this locked up shifter. Every time I do a conversion now, what I do is I just radius off that tip. I'll just grind it off, just using a rotary Dremel tool works just fine. But take some 400 grit sandpaper and then take some 1000 grit sanding paper and make it really, really smooth. You see, I can rub my finger on that and it just feels very, very smooth and it's very, very shiny. So do that to the tip and you will not encounter the problems of the sticking shifter that I have. And I've seen that with a few 4-speed C50s as well. So that might be a design issue, or that just might be that when they get really old, they start to do that. I'm not sure. I have not had any problems with the shifter afterwards, I can tell you that. And then lastly is getting to the gearbox itself. The last thing, and I've said this many times in the video, but I'm just going to say it again, it has to be for a roller ball bearing case, and that's around from a 92 to a 2007 engine. And by the way, if you want to convert, if you have a 2007 and upwards fuel-injected Honda C50, the classic fuel-injected one, which I think they made for about 5 years, you can convert. You can do this exact same method, even though it's fuel-injected and the top end is completely different, and the electrics are completely different. This gearbox does actually fit using this exact method too. So just in case you were wondering, because I've done it before, and it works fine. So make sure that it is for a roller ball bearing case. The tip is going to be very small compared to the needle bearing case, a needle bearing shaft, which you can see here. So it's very easy to distinguish, but you're not done yet. There's one last thing before you put all this together and button up your engine, and that is, and the reason is because of this fourth gear. Now, why? This fourth gear is, as you can see, it has this lip on it like this. And this lip, the reason it's there is because the engine that this comes out of is what I call the wide case engine. And what is the wide case engine? That is the engine where the internals are slightly bigger. Or, excuse me, there's slightly more space inside for whatever reason. And so if you take a look at this, you can see this case here. You can see the bearings are considerably smaller than the case on top. And so because of that, what you need to do to have the appropriate amount of clearance and the appropriate amount of end play is you have to have the gear that has that lip that I'm showing you now. But what this does is that if you want to install this gearbox as is into your C90, which has larger bearings in it, which are wider, it's not going to fit because this gearbox is too wide. So what you need to do is you need to either A, grind off this and drop the washer on the floor, that's necessary. Grind this off till it's almost flat. Now, if you're off by, half a millimeter, so it's no big deal. But you need to grind this off so it's mostly flat. That's kind of a trial and error thing, and you have to make sure it's flatly ground too. You don't want it to be, uneven. But a much easier way to deal with that is to order yourself a gear of the same ratio. Keep in mind it is the same size as the Honda, and the tooth pitch is the same too, so don't worry about that. For a Honda C100 from the Astria, or a Wave 100, or a City 100, something that has the same ratio, and these are originally 4-speeds. And now I would say, hey, you can order from a live fan, but that would just be stupid. So you can order an original gear from any 4-speed with the narrow case, and you can see, and when I say narrow case, I mean it has the bigger bearings, and you can see that's already ground off. And so because this is ground off already, you can literally just take this gear, stick it on, you have the thinner gear, and it works, see? And I know it works because this is how I convert most of my engines, is I just don't even bother with this gear, I just throw it away. And then I get a brand new one of these. This one's used, obviously, but I get a new one of these, plonk it on there, and all you need to do after this is put everything together and then go. Now, when a couple of points while you are working on this, I highly recommend kind of test fitting everything first. So put it together every time it comes to, you'll see in my detailed walkthrough when installing the gearbox, I show every step of the way how to check if everything is fitting correctly so that you know that you installed it the right way. And so I recommend kind of being extra careful with this because just in case something doesn't quite fit right, or you happen to cross up the parts, or for whatever reason, it just will make sure that things go smoothly. But I do want to reassure you that not only have I done this conversion many, many times over, but I've also used it as an everyday bike for about 4 years, and it works brilliantly. I've had no problems whatsoever with the gearbox. So that is basically how you convert your 4-speed to your 3-speed to a 4-speed. I hope this video was helpful. I'm Mini Motorman, so until next time, goodbye.